I know you have videos in your camera roll that you don't know what to do with. I know that you want to post more than on TikTok. You want to post a YouTube video. However, you feel like you just don't have the right editing software, the right tools, the right camera. But if you have iMovie, then I'm going to show you exactly all of the best ways to use it if you want to make trendy aesthetic content. I'm talking Ashley Alexander, Moya Mawini, Claudia Saluski. All of these same style of videos you can create for free on iMovie. You do not need to invest in an expensive software just yet. I've been using iMovie since I've been making videos on my family's computer back in 2010, and I feel like I'd be gatekeeping if I didn't share some of my secrets and tips and tricks when it comes to the very, very basic platform that is iMovie. So in today's video, to showcase what I know and some of the things that I've learned, I'm gonna do a walkthrough of how I edit on iMovie. Here are the timestamps of the things that I'm gonna cover in today's video, that way you can fast forward. If you combine all this together and put in a little bit of effort, I can guarantee you, you are gonna be able to create something that you are proud of. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I'm going to do is create a new project, and I'll do that just by clicking on create new, and it's going to show me two options. It says movie and trailer. Trailer is the iMovie template, so you're going to want to click on movie because that allows you to create a fresh project. So that's going to open up this page, and it has like a lot of information and different little things, and assuming that you have never seen this before or never edited, the first thing that you want to do is import your media, because that will be the beginning of your project. I'm just gonna take my media, it's already in a folder on my desktop, and I'm just gonna drag it. You can also just click the import media button and it'll start to import all of my footage. As you can see, it has like these little bubbles right here, and that's basically gonna show me like a clock of the import, and it's already done. To start, I filmed all of this on my iPhone 12, nothing fancy. I'm just here to show you that it really can be this simple. It imported fairly quickly because I think the iPhone footage is more compatible with the whole iMovie software, but if you filmed on like a big camera with a lot of gigabytes, a lot of information, it might take longer for it to actually import into the whole program. So just be patient with that. And as you can see, the yellow means that all the clips are selected. So the very first thing that I like to do when I edit a video is drag all of the clips into my timeline just so I can see what I'm working with. The next thing I like to do is visibly see the duration of all my clips so I can get a sense. Obviously, this is showing me that all my clips are 8 minutes and 43 seconds. That'll be condensed over time. So I like to go over to this tool over here, and it helps change the size of the timeline. That way I can just see, you know, the duration of each clip. I can visualize what 4 seconds looks like as opposed to 13. You can also adjust this by using 2 fingers on the trackpad to minimize and expand it. Another important thing is knowing just shortcuts in general. I feel like there are so many more shortcuts that you could look up. The ones that I gravitate the most towards are Command B, which splits the clip, and then Command C, which copies the clip, and then Command V. Just like on a Google Doc, or if you're typing something on a keyboard, Command C, Command V. And then we can also do Command Z, just like on a Google Doc, that undoes the previous action. So since this is like a travel video, I feel like the grounds are a little bit different for how I would edit this, but I'm gonna just start with doing a rough draft of clipping my clips. So I expanded my timeline. I'm gonna start at the beginning, and I'm just gonna kind of do a rough scan through using my trackpad to see if there's anything that like I know I just want to take out. For example, like I filmed the sidewalk here, so I'm dragging my mouse over, and as soon as the camera tilts, I'm gonna click on it, press Command B. I'm gonna drag it until it stops, which is here. Command B again, and then I'm just gonna press the delete button, and that deletes the clip, and now we just have 2 fresh clips. Another way to do that, especially if it's at the end of a video, is just clicking the side right here and bringing it in. And this is good for like small little edits or little things that you just want to take out that don't require kind of deleting the whole clip. So I'm gonna do that again when I show the museum, and I'm just gonna keep doing that for all of my clips because I already know that that's not something that I want in the video. I've clipped all of my little video segments here, and I wanted to show how you can rearrange it. Super simple. I'm just gonna click on a clip and drag it, and the nice thing about iMovie is that it makes the clips go like right next to each other. The timeline expects that there's always going to be like another clip next to it. So I kind of want to organize this travel video by my arrival here, and then categories like food, touring, matcha tea tasting, whatever it may be. The video itself is not going to be very good because this is just an example, but whatever. I have like this museum clip. I know that this is the same museum, so I'm just gonna keep dragging all these clips in the order that I want. So what I just did there was Command X, that is cut. If I don't want to keep dragging and dropping, I can just Command X, and then I take my cursor, I click it, and I Command V, and that video will pop right in there. And I feel like that is a lot easier for some longer clips or things that are kind of just far away from each other. So I'm going to Command X, move it to the clip that I know it belongs towards right here, and then Command V, Command X, and move it all the way down here. So I'm just gonna repeat that process until I rearrange all the clips in a way that I like. So the clips are reordered, and I feel like this is a good example here. So this clip is obviously not filmed in the correct orientation, and that's where all of these tools are gonna come in handy. And if you hover over them or click on them, it'll kind of show you basically what it is. So I'm gonna click the crop tool, and I'm gonna make sure it's just on fit, and all I have to do is just rotate the clip, and it also rotates it down here. Crop to fill is like if you want to crop something out specifically, like if I just want this segment here. Ken Burns is a feature that allows you to like zoom in a little bit. So that's fun if you want to kind of stylize the cropping and you want to like focus in on something. This is that example here. As you can see, this clip is pretty long, but it ends up being just gradually gets closer. And this is fun for like different effects or different panning effects. The second half now is editing the audio of the clips. Obviously there are some videos where I'm talking and other videos where I am just like walking around. You can either drag it at the bottom here. You can see where it says like 100%, 0%. 100% is like the baseline audio level, and then 400 is really loud. This video I'm not talking or anything, so I'm just gonna bring all of these down. Another way you can do this is by clicking on the clip and then just clicking this like megaphone button and clicking the mute button here. If you want all of the clips in your video to be silent, what you can do is click Command A, highlights all of the clips, and then you'll go here and you'll click cancel on the megaphone button. And you can actually do that for all of the edits. So if you want to select everything and you want to crop, you can like choose to crop everything the same dimension when they're all selected. So we have everything silenced now. Since there's less clips of me talking, I'd rather go in and like manually adjust the volume of those. The next thing is color correction. Now, I don't really feel like color correction is the best in iMovie, but if you are in a pinch, you can click on this palette tool, you know, change the saturation, change the cooling. This is like shadows and then highlights and then kind of everything in between, like midtones, contrast. I honestly feel like it sucks on iMovie, so I probably wouldn't even touch this. You can also click on filters. So we have like a clip filter. If you want to do something in black and white or like a funny effect, or if you want to like romanticize it, you can do these. They're not really that adjustable, only by like this meter here. I feel like this is funny if you want to do like that kind of Emma Chamberlain, like old Emma Chamberlain video editing style. I feel like that comes in handy, or if you're doing like a dream sequence or like a funny bit. But for the most part, I don't really feel like they enhance anything. And then we also have the audio effect. So if you've ever heard people do like an on the phone thing or like their voice echoes, that's all going to be done here. You can just play around with the different sounds of that, and I can go more in depth on like a different clip. Pitch up, pitch down. It's just kind of like that chipmunk voice, the like low bass boosted voice or whatever. iMovie doesn't have that many options, but I feel like if you're making like a cute vlog, you probably won't use it anyway. I think the only one that I really like is the muffled. I feel like it kind of makes like a cool vintagey aesthetic, or even later when we add music, you can put that audio effect on the song and it kind of like softens it and changes like the vibe. However, I feel like the next most important thing is doing the titles, because that is a majority of the video. So you can choose to use the iMovie titles. It's pretty easy. You just drag and drop. You click like let's do this for example. Like this is showing that it splits and different things. I think depending on what kind of video you're making and what kind of style you want to do, it can be cool. But I've always felt like these are, I don't know, it gives away that you're editing on iMovie, and I feel like it brings down the quality. So if you want to, or you just want to keep it simple, it's like a home video or something, that's fine. Like I could do like Japan 2025 or whatever. But to be honest, I just don't really like the transition that comes in and out. I kind of just want it to be still. So you can play around with that. That's in the T button here. There's like all sorts of fonts. You can even, I think, import your own fonts and be able to edit that. I won't detail that because I feel like that's a whole different video. And then you can just like adjust the size and whatnot. Again, I don't really like this, and that's not really my style. So I'm going to teach you a different way to do that I feel like I've used to quote unquote hack the system. Let's go on over to Canva, which is a free site that you can create like graphics on, and we're going to be using their movie feature. So I'm in Canva. I already opened like a video project. It's fairly simple. You'll just go to like create new project, click on video instead of like an image or something like that. And it already brings out like this dimension. The only thing I did differently was that I changed the background, and this is very important because that's how we'll get the feature in iMovie. So I green screened the background, just literally clicked here and clicked on like a green color. And I'm gonna go over to the text box and just add a text box, and we'll keep it simple. I'll just write Japan 2025, and then we'll go over here and pick our font. I like something kind of trendy, so we'll click on Symphony here. And I also want it to be white because I feel like that'll match my vibe a little bit better. It's kind of hard to see, but it won't look like that for long. So I'm gonna move Japan 2025 right in the middle here. It's cute. We have Japan 2025. So now you could just take like a screenshot of this if you want it to be still and you don't want it to move or anything. If you want to do a fun little effect and stylize this, all you have to do is click on the text box, click on animate, and I feel like typewriter is pretty trendy right now, so we'll just change that. And as you can see, when we play it, it has like a typewriter little animation. So you can make this like longer or shorter. I feel like I'll just make this just a little bit longer, just so there's like extra leeway. And then we'll go to share. We'll download this as an MP4 video, and we're using the free version, so it's not like we can even make any changes if we wanted to. So we'll just let that download. Back in iMovie, the Canva graphic has been downloaded. Similarly to before, you can just drag and drop it into your timeline. So I'm gonna pick this here and just drag it right over this clip. So it's just gonna sit on top. It kind of looks crazy right now, obviously, because we haven't done anything. The magic part comes in clicking on this overlay button, and it gives you like a few different options. You could do picture in picture, so it just sits in the corner here. There's split screen, so you actually end up sharing the screen with it. And then the last one, the one that I want to focus on, is green/blue screen. So because we use a green background, it's actually going to appear in our timeline seamlessly. So if I click on this here, when I play it back, it just kind of looks like a title, and we get to just keep it without all of the other like weird transitions. So I like doing this because sometimes I just want to have like a text bubble, right? Like if I want to say on my way to the taxi without like any transition, I can just make that graphic in Canva, use a green background, and then dissolve that green background in iMovie using the green/blue screen effect. So I made some extra leeway, so depending on where I want to cut it, I can just move my clips, or I can actually just use the same tools I used before and like Command B this. I can copy it, I can move things around. This green screen/cutaway effect is so important because it allows you to do so many things. You could find a PNG, something that already doesn't have a background, and include it in your video. You could find like a sticker that you like or a GIF. All of those can fit in the timeline as an overlay on top of any of your clips and just kind of look like a drag and drop like effect, and can help stylize the video a little bit more than just like what's already in iMovie. I think I'm just gonna keep it with this title because I feel like that's more of my aesthetic. So the only downside to iMovie is that you can only layer like 2 clips on top of each other. So if you want to add like another sticker or another element, you're either gonna have to combine it with your green screen video like on Canva, or you're going to have to save this little bit as its own video and then re-import it as a second video and then overlay it, if that makes sense. I'll show you. If I try to like grab this clip and drag it, it's just not gonna let me. Do with that information as you will. Remember, the software is very, very simple, so it's not gonna allow you to do very, very much. So the second bit here that I feel like makes the video interesting is adding transitions. So we're just gonna go up here to transition and just pick one that we like. I feel like the circle opening, circle closing is a pretty popular transition. And when I drag over it, you see that transition. You can click on the transition to change the duration. Like I feel like 1 second is kind of a long transition for this one. However, I feel like to make it even more interesting and more cinematic, kind of like how other vloggers and stuff do it, I would just go to background. I would pick like black or something. I'm gonna Command B the clip, and then I'm gonna go back in with like the close transition because that's the opposite of the first transition, and voila, I feel like it kind of makes for a cool little segment. I don't know, actually maybe the circle open is better for that. So I'm just dragging the circle open transition and putting it over, and you'll have to edit this part of the title just to make sure it like goes seamlessly. You can even grab these corners and kind of fade it out. That way it doesn't get clipped in that transition. And I feel like that makes it kind of like cinematic and stylized. So I feel like I have a lot of clips about this particular museum and it's a little bit redundant. So I'm gonna use like another little technique, which is just like stacking the clips. And I feel like that makes it interesting. So I'm gonna go here, click on the overlay because we have an overlay now. I'm gonna do picture in picture. It makes it kind of small, but we'll open it here. Just put it right on top and use the grids to line it up. You can add like a border or something. That's not really my style. You can even like change the color of like the border and stuff. So this transition is the transition of like the overlay coming into the frame. So we have like a zoom. That can be kind of fun, or a swap. So you're swapping the two pictures for each other. I'm just gonna do dissolve. And then what you want to do is make sure you close these like little bits here in the corner that make it melt in. And that's how you'll just get it like popping in exactly over the frame. And then of course this video is a little bit longer than the one that I overlaid it with, so I'm just gonna Command B and delete that, and it's just now like a fun little stylized clip. So just go ahead and figure out how you want to do that. Split screen is also really cool, so we can add this here on top, cut the video down here, and then I'll just overlay it, do split screen, and we have like this sort of situation. Just keep remembering that you can't put that Canva overlay in if you want to do like a fun title or something like that. You'll have to resort to going to the titles and just selecting one of these to actually go over your video. So these can all stack, but you can't stack this green screen sort of situation because it's considered an overlay, if that makes sense. So here's our title. I honestly think that this title is cute. Museum exploration. Obviously this is a little big. Museum time or something like that. Most of editing is a lot of like playing around. You're just gonna have to kind of see what works and what doesn't, and what the program lets you do and what it doesn't let you do. I think a really important aspect is to understand keyframing and the Ken Burns effect, because I think that can take your video from like here to here. So keyframing is taking parts of the video and zooming in and allowing it to like stay. If you see Emma Chamberlain's videos or any like kind of funny comical vlogs, they do a lot of this like zooming in action. So I'm gonna go over to a still clip. I'm not going to be able to keyframe on this video alone. That's something that is reserved for overlays. So I'm gonna have to open just like a black screen, and I'm going to put this video on top. That way it can allow me to keyframe. So we have our video here in the timeline. So I'm gonna click the overlay button. I'm gonna do this by doing picture in picture. I have my picture in picture here, and then you're gonna want to make sure that these are turned off just because it's usually like a default and I feel like that kind of ruins it. So I'm going to open my image to cover the whole black background, and I'm going to drag my cursor right to the beginning. I'm going to click the keyframe once. So that anchors the position that I want. And then I'm going to just like play the clip, and let's say like I want to zoom in on like something funny. I would just go ahead and zoom in on that part with my cursor in that spot that I want. And then I'll play it some more, and let's say like we're tracking like a bird or something, or just some sort of something. Then I could drag my clip to like this side, play it a little bit more, and then drag it back to my face. And basically, because we keyframed it in the beginning, it's going to follow all of that movement. It'll track all of that movement and then just put you right back in your exact frame. I feel like this is such like an underused feature. I think it's really good. Like, let's say instead of a video, this was like an advertisement or something. Like you had like a product and it was like a bottle of lotion and you wanted to like zoom in and move it around like around the screen. You can use that same effect here. Let's show it in a different way. Let's say that we have this sticker PNG and we want it to move around the screen. So obviously we're not gonna do it like this because that looks crazy. So we're gonna do picture in picture, and obviously you can see that it's kind of like cropped. I'm just gonna fix that by going to crop, and instead of doing Ken Burns, I'm gonna do fit because I want the whole thing in the frame. Then we'll bring it back, and I don't want any of this like fading here, so I'm just gonna turn the knobs down, extend the sticker for the duration of the clip. So you could leave it like this, or you could even do it like this, and it like pops in like while you're talking or something. So I'm gonna click on this, and I'm gonna get it like as close as possible to the beginning. Click on overlay. I'm going to keyframe it, and then I'm going to let it play, and then maybe move it to the side, move it down, move it to the side, and let it end up right at the beginning. Another way that you can do this is just by like putting it here, and you can like wiggle it. So you would do like short little movements. However long you pause and unpause it for is how long it'll do that movement for. So let's watch that back. I move it here, and it's kind of like wiggling. So if you have like a subscribe button, a like button, or just like some sort of card, I feel like that makes it really fun and interesting to look at. And then even more fun for like these sort of overlays and stuff, you can go to audio and video. You can go to sound effects and then just add one in. Bottle cork is like really popular if you've watched YouTube for a long time. I'm just gonna grab it and then drag it into my timeline down here. So like, let's say I just want it to like pop in while I'm talking. I'm gonna expand my timeline with 2 fingers, and this is where this feature becomes crucial because it allows me to line it up correctly. I'm gonna put my cursor there, get my sound, and then just drag it until the cursor appears. That way it lines up. So now when I play it, the sticker appears right when the sound effect does. And you could even add some like whooshing sound effect as it moves around, and all you have to do at the bottom is just kind of like edit it a little bit like this or like that. But that is that on keyframing. Another good use of the green screen tool is to do it with transitions. All you're gonna do is go on YouTube, you'll look up like green screen transition overlay. There either will be a link to download the video, or you can just like screen record it however you see fit or whatever works for you. I already have that in my timeline here. I screen recorded this like paper transition, and this arrow is here because I actually had to like reverse it because it was going the other way, but I feel like I like the transition going in the opposite direction. And we haven't talked about this yet, but this is basically the place where you can edit the speed of all of your clips. So for example, if I feel like this is going a little too fast, I could put it in slow motion so it's a little slower, or you can even customize it yourself at like a specific number, or you can even just use this meter here and it shows you more specifically how fast it is. So to use a transition like this, we're going to, yes, make it an overlay. Click the overlay button, click on green screen, blue screen, and then just match the clips up. I'm gonna have my cursor over. Obviously that's like not matching up, so I'm just gonna keep scooching it over until it lines up well. So it makes more sense when the whole screen is covered, which is like on this place right here. And you can actually add a marker by just keyboard shortcutting M. So if I click on M, it creates this little like purple bookmark, and that way I can just line it up more accurately with like the end of that video, so I don't have to keep guessing. So we'll play it now. It's gonna do this fun little like overlay and then just take me to my next. I feel like maybe to make this smoother, I can duplicate this clip and then just reverse it. So the last part is adding music and using the music to set the ambiance, set the flow. I feel like this is the hardest part, especially when it comes to YouTube, because YouTube has so many more restrictions when it comes to copyright, especially if you're trying to get monetized. You need to use royalty-free, copyright-free music. So the best way to do that is to either pay for a service like Epidemic Sound. It's kind of like a subscription service where you can just have access to like a bunch of different types of musics and vibes. However, it is kind of on the pricier side, especially if you're still beginning, if you're using iMovie for free. I've also used Thematic. I feel like it's a very similar service to Epidemic Sound, but has a little bit less features and is a little bit more basic. Both of those apps, Epidemic Sound and Thematic, you do have to kind of credit the author. Epidemic Sound does it by registering your YouTube channel to that account. That way, when your music plays in your videos, like, you don't have to put it in the description box or whatever. Where Thematic is a little bit different because you actually have to put the direct link to the song on Thematic in your description box, and if not, they will flag it. They will come and find you. I don't know how they do it, but the copyright is intense there. However, what I've been using for a long time is Bandcamp and SoundCloud. So I all know SoundCloud, you can like download music off there from artists, especially if they have like the download link. And the second is Bandcamp. So Bandcamp I actually learned from watching Wrong, because she uses this artist named louiezong on Bandcamp, and he makes such good music, so many different vibes. It's super talented. I don't even know like how he does it. And basically he just asks for like a small donation, or if you want, you can download like the music for free. I'll put like a screenshot of it here. That has been my tried and true for a really long time. All his music is copyright free, and he has it available for artists to use. I feel like the only like nice and kind thing is to shout him out and to also put his links like in the description when you do make a video. Other than that, I feel like you can just Google like royalty free music, go on YouTube, look for something, and just like screen record, audio record it. And I feel like it's a lot easier than you think. Best bet, go look for royalty free music. It's out there, and there's a lot of artists that are willing to share that. I already have my songs picked out, but I know that I'm talking in this clip. We want to go over here and unmute the clip. So let's say that I have some music happening at the tail end of this segment here. All I did was drag the music into the bottom half. There's actually even like a little music space. If you see like the line, it kind of like differentiates that. So I'm going to drag the music all the way until I see fit. Basically, we want to be able to hear what we're saying. So I'm going to click on this clip here, and you can see like the audio waves. It's cut off on my screen, but just pretend that you can see it there. All we have to do is just cut this, Command B, and then drag the volume of this down. So I can do like 10, and then we can even use this to kind of like just soften it at the end of this clip. So let's do it like longer, maybe bring this up a little bit. So you can decide if you want to have like music in the back, or if you feel like it's too distracting. So you can see how that transitions, or you can even just like not use this, and then at the end just allow it to go through, and I feel like it's significantly quieter. Another cool thing that I feel like a lot of vloggers do is they take the audio from the clip that they're speaking in, and they add a little bit of it to the previous clip, because it kind of creates this like seamless aesthetic like audio transition. We talked about like the visual transition, but I feel like an audio transition is sometimes overlooked and underrated. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to click on this clip because that's the one that I know that I'm talking in, and then I'm going to right click, and you'll see right here it says detach audio, and it even shows you the keyboard shortcut if that's something that you feel like you're going to be doing pretty often. So I'm going to detach audio, and it's basically just going to pull now a second clip, and I can basically shorten this here, Command B, cut those clips, and I'm going to take this clip, add it to my previous clip here, and I'll just delete the video part. So it kind of creates this like seamless transition. It's a very small detail, but if you watch a lot of vloggers like Claudia Saluski or anything that's sort of that vibe, like Moya Mawini, they'll all do this sort of very quiet transition. Obviously I'm not talking a lot in these clips, so it's harder to tell, but definitely something to play around with. Another idea is like if you just don't want the music at all, just delete it. I feel like a lot of kind of aesthetic videos like don't even have music in the background. And then you also don't have to keep the music in this lower part. You can bring it up for better mixing, if you will. For example, like if I cut these two clips right here, I can overlay them so that there's like a more seamless transition into the music getting quieter. And you can even do this when the songs are changing. So if you want to like switch vibes, I feel like this is just an easy way to make it like seamless to the ears. Adds a little bit of that extra quality. So another fun effect effect that I mentioned earlier is adding an audio effect, which I also feel like stylizes the video. So I'm gonna click on the audio of me talking in that clip. I'm gonna click this like little 3 button here and click audio effect, and we have muffled. So if you actually hover over the audio effects, it'll give you kind of like a teaser. I think I'm gonna use telephone. I feel like that's kind of like a cool aesthetic. Telephone will make the audio a little bit quieter, so I naturally will pull it up all the way to 400. I don't know, I just feel like it makes it cute, adds a little bit of like a vibe and a little bit of like a rhythm to it. Small little detail and fun little hack. If we put all of these techniques together, a little bit of effort and some commitment, our final product will look something like this.
1, 2, 3, 4.
What we have today. I just finished my matcha, and this is the park behind me. Enjoying my solo outing. And I'm gonna go back to the house because it's kind of far. I got lost on the way here, so it's already 2 o'clock, so I think I'm gonna go home and have lunch. But yeah, today's vibes. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I hope that it has empowered you and that you've been able to learn a thing or two. If there's anything that you want me to cover more, or any questions just about like filming, gear, other software, feel free to let me know and I'd be happy to make a video on that. If you want to watch more videos like this, feel free to subscribe, and I will see you in another video.